Hello, welcome back to the shop. Today we are going to take a look at some Klein screwdrivers, and these are a little bit unique. These are what they call the Klein Gripet series. Now I don't know a lot about these. I know they're not made any longer, and I picked these up new old stock. And they're made in Europe. They're made in Germany to be exact. They say Klein Tools on them. They have a patent in the US, and the whole reason for these is they are triangular shaped, there's no abrupt edges on them, and they have this extra grip on them. And I'm not sure exactly what this is. It almost feels like carpet. I don't know if you can see it there, but it almost has a felty carpet feel to it. It's very interesting, and these screwdrivers are marketed for kind of like an oily residue area, so I would assume this would get stained if it is some sort of cloth, but it is very grippy, I will say that. It's a very unique idea, and they're nice screwdrivers. Well, I mean, a lot of things made in Germany are pretty nice. So let's take a closer look. I have 4 of them. I don't know if there's any more made. This is like a equivalent of a 5/16. These might be metric sizes because they're made in Europe. Let's see here. Nope, that's right around 5/16. This one's a metric size. It's in between 1/4 and 3/16. I thought it might be and this is probably a Phillips number 2. Nicely made, nice crisp corners on that. No markings on the ends, they're all black there. And this is probably a Phillips number 1. So overall, this is a nice assortment of sizes to have. The straights have a hex drive on them, which is always handy if you're getting into stuff and trying to turn on things. The way these are made is pretty nice. The forging is good. You can see it looks like it's a little rougher here than the rest of the shank. These are what you call Keystone-Tip screwdrivers because the way they're shaped like a keystone. And let's see, this hex is formed in very nicely. The molding on the plastic actually leaves a little bit to be desired. It's not finished beautifully. Which one was it? One of these had a pretty nasty molding flange on it there from when it was made. They didn't deburr it very well. Yeah, this one has got a, I don't know if we can see that there. So kind of a surprising level of fit and finish for a tool made in Germany, but they're not bad. They just not what I expected. Overall, I'd say they're nice screwdrivers. They don't have they don't seem to have any traits that would make them horrible in a greasy oil situation. These are plastic. It is not rubber. So that would not get nasty if you were in oil, say transmission fluid or something like that. That stuff would really make anything rubber go south quickly. I don't know how this felty stuff would hold up once it gets saturated, but I'm assuming they've taken that into account. So that's pretty nice, and I think that's why these are just overall plastic. The triangular grip is geared towards being saturated in oil as well, because things that are round, once they get saturated, your hands just slip. So because this is a triangle, essentially, you can get into the flats and still grab it. So that's well thought out, I think. I don't know what era these are from. If you know, leave a comment down below. And if there was other sizes, let me know down below in the comments. I only came across these 4. For all I know, that's all there is. I didn't buy them in a 4-pack set or anything. I bought them individually. But I thought they were pretty neat, and I wanted to give them a try. I was curious about the Gripet. What were they doing with, how are they doing that? And it does seem to be some sort of carpet-like felt. It's pretty fascinating. If you have these, let me know in the comments below what happens to this when you get it saturated. Does it soak in the color and just become that color, or can you wipe them down and get them reasonably clean? Kind of curious. So I guess all that's left is we can get out our Rockwell files and see how hard these things are. So let's just pick the number 2 Phillips. The head here is hardened beyond the shank, so we should be able to test it here. And actually, I'm making marks. I'm not really digging in, but I'm starting to make marks already with a Rockwell 40. Eh, 45 still skating. We had a 55 on the last set of screwdrivers we tested. They were the posi screwdrivers. That's starting to do a little damage. So this is a little bit more of a 50. And I think 55 is going to really make a mark. Yeah, definitely. So it's somewhere around a 50 to 55 Rockwell. And the HRC, one of our viewers was kind enough to let me know that HRC is Hardness Rockwell Scale C. So that's what the HRC 55 is. 50. And these are somewhere in that range, which is decent. We'll know as we check more screwdrivers what standard is. Screwdrivers are kind of hard to do because, let's just try the straight blade. Yeah, you can scratch into that with the 55. Screwdrivers are a little tough because the harder you get them, the more brittle they are, and it's this trade-off. Do you want it really brittle, or do you want it that it'll take some abuse but it won't shatter when you really torque on it? So it's a little bit of a dance that I guess the manufacturers try and have their own witch's brew of what they can do. And as we test more of them, we'll kind of see if this was common or not. And if you know in the comments below what screwdrivers normally are on the Rockwell scale, let us know. I think that's kind of interesting. Okay, so I thought this was too interesting to ignore, so we flashed up the microscope here, and we're going to take a look at one of these handles underneath the microscope. So let's check this out. What we can see is a super fibrous handle, and if you really look, it's kind of, I said it was kind of like carpet, but I don't know if that's an accurate description. It's like a felt. You can see it's the fibers standing up on it, which is, I think, a really interesting idea. Here you can see some of that texture of the plastic. Really interesting idea. I'd really like to know how these hold up if you use them, because I mean it seems almost like a cloth, so I'm kind of curious to see if they just get dyed and they're all black at some point. But thought we'd take a look at that. Getting out the microscope's always very interesting. Taking a look at things. Let's see here. We could take a look at the tip on these while we have it out. Nicely made. A little bit of a burr right there. but not too bad. Let's take a look at the number one. Number one looks nice and clean. Nothing wrong with that. What you would expect to see from a screwdriver. Let's take a look at our not quarter, not 3/16 metric inspired size screwdriver. You can see here how this is made. It's kind of rough. We'll see that more on the 5/16. I think they call these screwdrivers by their length, which I thought was interesting. Maybe that's a European thing. Let me know in the comments below if you know how that is. And here's our 5/16. A little bit of a rough grind there, but not too bad. Here's that forging marks that I was talking about. Here's your grind. Tip that's hardened. And then there's our keystone shape. Nicely ground. It looks like a coarse grind in the microscope, but it's really not. It's pretty nice. So I thought this would be a nice quick look at these Gripet screwdrivers. Kind of a little bit of an obscure thing, I think, these days. They don't still exist, so they might not have sold very well. I don't know how common they were in the North American market either, being made in Germany. But all the same, I thought we'd give them a go, and you'll probably see them around on the channel when we're wrenching on vehicles or something like that, if we get into some of that stuff in videos on the channel. So, as always, I appreciate you watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.